The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer P.R Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, greetings. Welcome to another presentation in this public service nation-building series, The Law and You. This is program number 858, and it is coming to you on Monday, the 3rd of April, 2017. On this program, I will speak to you on the topic Approaching 20. But before getting into the topic, a few preliminary comments. Firstly, obituaries of a kind. I would like to express my deepest condolences to all families which have suffered recent bereavements. And of those families, I want to single out two of them. Firstly, the family of my legal colleague, Mr. Joel Pitt. He passed away on Saturday gone, 1st of April. He's a brother I have known for upwards of nearly 50 years. And it was we all were saddened to hear of his passing. He had been ill for some time, so that even though his death did not come as a shock, it certainly brought pangs of grief with it. My heartfelt condolences go out to his family. And secondly, the family of Mother Venus James of Upper Fair Hall. She will be laid to rest on Monday next week. The funeral service will be held at St. Elizabeth Cathedral at Belmont, which she attended, became a deaconess, I understand. Unfortunately, because the funeral would be on a Monday, I would not be able to be there because I'll be right here bringing to you another program of The Law and You, but my condolences go out to the family of Mother James, also known as Sister King. She lived exactly opposite Apostle Len Kirby's house at Fair Hall. He is in the lower side of the curve and she on the upper side of the curve. So the funeral would be on Monday, next week, Monday the 10th of April, service beginning at 2 o'clock, but you will hear the details on the death announcement. My sympathies go out to all the members of the bereaved family. Excuse me. And speaking about St. Elizabeth Cathedral, a document was found after our ordination service on the 19th of March. It is a photocopy of a United States marriage certificate, a photocopy of a certificate of a marriage which took place in Birmingham, Alabama on the 31st of December 2016. The parties who got married were Mr. William A. Davis III and Ms. Laura Susan Burns. So anybody who missed a photocopy of that particular marriage certificate can claim the same at my chambers in Kingstown. The Spiritual Baptist Archdiocese of St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be having a special procession of witness next week Sunday, the 9th of April. It will begin at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the Sion Hill Junction in Kingstown, and it will take the form of the Stations of the Cross, the 14 Stations of the Cross. So the procession will go down Maurice Road, all the way down to what we call Josie Corner, up to the corner of Sharp Street at the Kingston Seventh-day Adventist Church, down to the Customs, then along this street, all the way down to Ace Hardware, back up to Back Street, the old Kentucky near to the Banfield service station, and it will end at the vacant space where the Treasury building used to be near the post office in Kingstown. That is the route, and along there we will stop 13 times. The 14th station will be the last one. Now, the Stations of the Cross has not been celebrated in St. Vincent for decades. So this will be a revival of that event taking place on Palm Sunday, next Sunday. And all churches of the Spiritual Baptist Archdiocese and any other Baptist church which wants to join the procession would be welcome. We begin sharp at 2 and we hope to finish in daylight. Now, one more preliminary before I get on to approaching 20. When I was a young student, I read a book called The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire by Roger Gibbon. The edition I read was in 3 volumes. Now that was many, many years ago, and my memory is hazy about some of the details, but I seem to recall that the Roman Empire fell not as a result of outside conquest, but mainly as a result of internal collapse. The empire had lost its moral fiber. Now, if there is anyone listening who has a copy of that book, I would be very, very happy to borrow it, because I wish to read it again, The Decline and the Fall of the Roman Empire by Roger Gibbon. I read it when it was in the Kingstown Public Library, but we're talking about in the 60s and probably early 70s. So if anyone listening to me, or if anyone who is listening knows anybody who has a copy of The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, I'd be grateful if you can get in touch with me, lend it to me. I will take great care of it. I normally take great care of books which I borrow, and I do return them. I want to read that book again, because something in me tells me that what I see happening in the United States of America reminds me of quite a lot of the themes that I read in that book. I am extremely troubled by the trends taking place in the United States of America, particularly today. The President of the United States welcomed to the White House the President of Egypt, a man who has shown very strong dictatorial tendencies, who has had no regard to human rights at all. And I fear that America is losing its moral fiber. America used to stand up for democracy. That seems to be a thing of the past under the new regime. And I am troubled because what happens in America adversely affects us here. Don't forget, hundreds of thousands of our people, when I say our, I mean the Caribbean people, live in the United States. So, to get back to the point, I would like to borrow and read again a copy of The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. You know, as you go along and you get down in age, a lot of things you read when you were young, you would like to read again. Fortunately, modern technology has made it possible for us to reread a lot of the stuff on the internet, but I have not been able to trace The Decline and Fall on the internet. All right. Approaching 20, the topic for the evening. 20 what? Well, we are approaching 20 years of the Law and You being in existence. The program was started in April 1997. And it is with a lot of nostalgia that I look back to the early beginnings of this program. I want to thank all who have made the program possible, beginning with St. Vincent and the Grenadines Television, well, the St. Vincent Broadcasting Corporation. Because after I had struggled in the early years to pay the broadcasting fees of, I think it was about $200 per program, and buying tapes and so on, and had practically come to the end of my tether, the television station, under the leadership of Mr. Paul McLeish, decided to take over the sponsorship of the program and have been carrying the program free of charge for 3/4 of the time the program has been on the air. So my thanks to SVG-TV, and over the years the numerous technicians who have been involved in taping the program. The way we do it is that I come to the station on Monday afternoons, and somewhere between 2:30, well, occasionally, but more like between 3 and 4 o'clock, the program is videotaped. Now, the program is never edited. So basically, I come, I sit at this table, I put on the microphone, I give the sound check, the camera is readied, and the technician gives me the signal, and I start. And I would speak, and then I would get a time signal, well, 2 or 3 time signals, and at the end of the allotted time, which is roughly, as you know, 30 minutes, although sometimes I go a little over, and I stop. I do not have a script for the program. Very many times I read extracts from books, other documentation, and I would usually identify what I'm reading from. But apart from those, I do not have a script that I'm reciting from. I am simply ad-libbing, and I prefer it that way. Now, as you know, the there are times when I speak on topics which are not strictly legal topics, because I like to mix it up, and I think from the feedback I've had, people appreciate it when I go into things which are of public interest. And I would comment on matters in the public interest. I try to avoid matters of controversy, and I try to avoid taking sides in controversial political matters. Although, depending on the situation, I would say how I feel about a situation. Now, as you know, again, I like to bring in preliminaries, and I think many of you have told me that you enjoy the preliminaries. In fact, one fellow told me that he more looks forward to the preliminaries than to the substantive programs. But everyone to his own. All in all, the program is meant to be an educational program. Now, next week I will go deeper into some of the motivation, because next week would be the 10th of April, and that would be banging the anniversary, although I would officially celebrate the 20th anniversary on the last Monday in April DV. And for those who have never heard me explain what DV means, it means if the Lord is willing. It's taken from the Latin phrase Deo volenti, D-E-O-V-O-L-E-N-T-I, meaning if it is the will of the Lord. So if it is the will of the Lord, I will speak some more on next week's program about the law and you. I will go into the basic origins and what led me to decide to present a program of this kind. And then I will endeavor to prepare something special for the final Monday of April month. Now, I started by thanking SVG-TV. Let me also thank the members of my legal staff who were trained by what used to be called the GIS, later to become the API, to tape the program. When we started with the program being taped in my office, my legal chambers in Kingstown. I would get the program taped, then I would bring it up in the form of a video cassette to the station, and then it would be broadcast. But the program has never been edited, so that when we finish taping, that is it. So that my thanks to members of staff, and two of them who have been with me since the law annual started are still with me. That is, they've been with me now for over 20 years. Now, I am satisfied that the program has been generally helpful to the general public. And what is interesting is that some little children who were little when the program started are now in secondary school. Some have left the secondary school, so they have grown up. That is, people who are now in their late teens would have grown up with the law and you. I recall receiving the complaint from a youngster that in those days I used to start the program by saying, ladies and gentlemen. But the youngster complained that young people look at the program as well, and how come I don't greet them? and, and that is where the boys and girls came in as part of the greeting of the law and you. Now, over the years, I have been encouraged all along by persons who would meet me wherever and say that they enjoy the program, that they learn something they never knew before. And I am amazed at how many people feel that they have gathered something beneficial from having listened to the law and you. And I am very pleased because that is what the program set out to do. I had several intentions. One was to demystify the law, that is, to present the law in a way that the average person can understand legal systems, legal processes, legal concepts, that people can understand how the justice system functions, and above all, that people could learn how to arrange their own affairs in such a way that, to put it bluntly, others would not be able to trick them. Now, insofar as you have been able to follow the program and hear things which apply to your own personal domestic situation, and insofar as you have been able to guide yourself by what you have heard to your benefit, I am quietly satisfied that the program has gone a long way towards fulfilling the initial intentions. Because as a student of the law, way back when, it occurred to me that the law could be used both as an instrument of liberation and as an instrument of oppression. And as I will delve deeper into this concept in the next program, I would say in advance that ignorance of the law could be a curse. You see, if you don't know your legal rights, then the unscrupulous would be in a position to take advantage of you. And over the years, in many families, many people have been disadvantaged simply because they didn't know what was what and didn't know what were their rights. But I make bold to say that nowadays, thanks in part to what you have gathered from this program, everyone knows at the very least that if you think you have a legal right, you should go to a lawyer and get legal advice. And the law has several slogans, and one is that the law does not favor those who sleep on their rights. So that if you have a legal right and you do nothing about it, and somebody takes advantage of you, you can't complain. Everyone knows now that if you have a certain situation that you think might have legal implications, you ought to go and check it out, get advice. And you also know that there is a time limit to every situation. So that if you have a legal situation, the longer you leave it without attending to it, the worse it becomes, and the time may come when you may not even be able to go to court because what is called the limitation period might have run out on you. So you have learned over the years not only to look after your legal rights, but to do so on a timely basis. Don't leave matters for years and years and years. Now, how do I feel about having presented this program for 20 years? Well, I feel pleased. As you would probably have gathered over the years, I am a person given to some discipline, thanks to my upbringing. And I have what is called stick-to-itiveness. That is a local parlance. The idea that once you have a responsibility and you have health and strength, then you should stick to carrying out that responsibility. And I hope I have been an example to young persons that when you take up a responsibility, you should try and see it through. As you know, when Monday is a public holiday, there's no program of the Law and You. And when I am ill-disposed by reason of ill health, then I repeat previous programs rather than simply have you look at nothing when the Monday night comes. So I look forward to speaking with you further on this 20-year mission on which I had embarked way back when, and of which I am justly proud. I have warned my colleagues that when I pass, they must not let the Law and You die with me, that they must organize themselves and carry on the program. Take in turns. The same person hasn't got to soldier on week after week as I have been doing. But they must always let there be a forum for people to be reminded of their legal rights so that we could be a better society. I want to thank my family for their forbearance over the years. But more next week, Divi. So until next week, the 10th of April, that is all from this program of the Law and You. Program number 858 of this Public Service Nation Building series. Do have a pleasant week, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, and may the good Lord continue to bless us all.
The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.